Hi guys, welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast. I am Steve, and say hi Pascal.
Hey.
Hey
what's
Pascal.
Going on? Hey Pascal.
So we are catching up after 2 weeks it's been now. So yeah, it's been a while since we've sat down and had a chat together, and the 2 weeks feel like they've flown by. I don't know about you, Pascal, they feel like they've flown by.
Kind of. But also it feels like a really long time since we spoke.
Oh, now I feel sad.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I'm speaking to Pascal again. So I guess I'll let you run away with kind of how the last 2 weeks have gone for you. You started school, you've been doing it for 2 weeks now, in fact. So how's that?
Yeah.
The first week was kind of an intro week?
Yeah, exactly. So the first week was just more introductory week. Didn't really need to participate in many things. I just needed to get there once, basically. And this week was the first true week. And holy shit, the commuting is just killing me. Like really, I have to commute like 4 hours per day. And I needed to get there this week, each and every single day. So I pissed away a lot of time, which really annoys me, because if people know me already by now, they know how much I value time, and just pissing away at least 4 hours per day, because every once in a while you're just stuck in traffic, or you're stuck at a certain train station, because I have to switch trains, and you can't do anything about it, right? And it's not really effective to sit on the train and read there or try to study there. So it was really exhausting, and I always got up at 4 a.m.
That's really early.
Yeah, because I need to still do my client check-ins. I still don't have an apartment there. I have an apartment, but I'm first able to get to the apartment at the end of the month. So with the beginning of the new month, November. And yeah, until then I have to just juggle everything throughout the week, which will be quite tough because, mate, I'm really tired right now. Really tired. I didn't really compromise sleep though, because I just went to bed at 8 to 9 p.m. just to make sure that I get at least 7 hours in. It wasn't really as recoverable, if you want to name of that, because I mean, you had so much on your plate. There was so much more to recover from, because it's not just like you're sitting. A typical day for me before I started school was sitting at my desk, going out for a walk every once in a while, working just the coaching aspect, and that was basically it, right? And now I'm commuting back and forth, working on the road, working every once in a while there at university, still needing to do my lectures, studying, all that kind of stuff at the same time, so much more demanding, and getting in your training sessions at the same time as well, while being in a caloric deficit. Not an easy thing to pull off, but I mean, still it's cool university, interesting topic, interesting course, and it's life sciences, by the way, if people weren't aware of that. So, yeah, the first semester is more just about chemistry, physics, biology, like the principles, and mathematics, right? Ooh. So just the fundamental principles getting in. And let me tell you this, mathematics and physics, oh, God damn.
Yeah, they're hard subjects, man.
Yeah, it's just like, holy shit.
I was going to say, I did biology A-level, which I really enjoyed, and it wasn't that bad. But I think biology out of all of them is like the softer one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I still have a lot to learn there as well, because, I mean, life sciences, at least as far as I know now from my university and from the people I was talking to, it's just a really complicated undergrad, and it's really hard to do in just 6 semesters, which is the normal time to actually finish. And many people said that it's next to impossible, at least here in Germany and at least at that university, to finish that one after 6 semesters. And especially because of all the fundamental principles you need to know from physics, from chemistry, from biology, and from mathematics. You need to have them in check before you're then actually going out there and specializing. And next week, I have my first time being in the lab as well. So it's immediately starting there, which is going to be quite exciting. And yeah, with the training aspect, quite tough, as you might imagine as well. Had a little bit of, again, my traps, which always flare up. Once again, flared up this week, which is a little bit annoying, which will probably set me back a little bit. It's now slowly starting to dissipate again, so I could probably train normal for the overreaching week next week. I'm considering, though, to take a deload next week because it is the last week, the last proper week before I'm then moving to Potsdam. So I'm considering doing that to just alleviate a little bit of the stress I'm experiencing right now. When it comes to dieting, surprise, surprise, the weight didn't really come down. It actually went up because of all the stress and because probably also of the food I'm eating right now. Because when I'm on the road, there are these pre-packed chicken snacks. You know them, right, Steve?
Every time you say chicken sticks, it makes me laugh. Chicken stick. So are they like satay sticks? Like a kebab type thing?
Yeah, kind of. So at Tesco's, when I'm in London, you know, I'm always buying these pre-packed 150 grams of chicken snacks, right? And that's basically what I'm buying. Oh, okay. And it's not really satisfying, but when you're on the road, it's pretty cool to get in your protein. But they are so salty. So high in sodium. So 100 grams have like 2.2 grams of salt. So I'm always having like 2 packs. So that is already 300 grams of chicken. That is equaling something like 7 grams of salt just from that alone, right? So my scale weight didn't really move down this week. Sometimes it actually went up to 84.4, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Come on, right? But it just goes to show, and this is something you pointed out yourself as well, that when you are in a different environment, when something is changing in your life, that could potentially be, you don't really have to freak out. I know that I'm in a caloric deficit, especially because I'm so much more active right now. I had such an easy time actually being in a caloric deficit because I was so busy, because I was so active, because I needed to do so many things at once. And because of that, I'm not really worrying about that. It is just due to the fact that I'm actually in a new environment. I'm not eating the same foods each and every single day. The ones I'm eating right now, unfortunately, are really high in sodium. The stress accumulates as well. So this is basically in a sum up what is going on with me right now. And yeah, but hey, really long ramble. Sorry for that. Steve, tell me a little bit about your end of the minicon now.
To be honest, I think your ramble's good because it's incredibly interesting the amount you've got going on. Because I'm just thinking, even if I took 4 hours out of my day, let alone the time that you're then studying, I'm like, whoa, how do I get everything done? Like that would stress me out. But I am surprised sometimes. Obviously, I was away, which is why we recorded 2. I was away for the weekend for a wedding, and I was surprised by the amount you can get done if you get like your client work and you're very kind of focused on just getting that done, get the actual like essentials done. I have quite a lot of extra free time, and I spend quite a bit of time answering questions, going on the Facebook group, kind of looking over technique videos for our clients. That can take a lot of time because we're actually really big on that at the moment. It's really cool, but it does take quite a bit of time watching everyone perform videos, especially because you want to watch their reps in reserve as well, rep consistency. You're not just like looking shortly at it. So it takes a while to review all that. Then like emails, side projects. If I don't do any podcasting for a week, that frees up loads of time because there's the whole organizing it and then the questions beforehand. So if literally my job as an online coach was just my clients, I think I could get that done in like quite a short period of time. I could almost not quite a 4-hour work week like Tim Ferriss, but it could be really efficient. The fact is there's so much more to the job than just looking at the spreadsheet changing that and giving a reply video. So yeah, I think for short periods of time it can be done, like I did it over the weekend, and it stressed me a little bit, but yeah, every day for you right now, I guess it's hard. How many hours of lectures do you have for a week?
I didn't really sum it up because I messed up my schedule at first, which was my own fault. Because, I mean, I don't know how you managed it back in the days when you were studying, but you need to take care of your own schedule. You need to plan it up for yourself, like the lectures apply to them so that you can participate, right? And then build your own calendar, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I messed it up at first because I had no idea about the system. It is an online system, and you need to apply for it, plan it all out. And it isn't really intuitive at all. And I thought I had it in check, like a typical Dunning-Kruger effect. Went in there, did the planning, thought I am the big guy who has everything in check. I don't need any kind of help, right? And then I went into a lecture on, what was it, on Tuesday. Yeah, and back to earth again, right? They just told me, okay, for all the people who are studying life sciences, you go wrong here. All right. So I left, and then it turned out that my entire schedule was like wrong. And then I went out, found some help to actually optimize it. And right now, I'm not entirely certain, but I have a couple of days where it's a little bit busier than other days. But a lot, of course, is learning at home and preparing for the sessions, especially something like when I'm going into the lab setting. I need to read through the script and manual to then go into the lab setting, try to do the experiment, write down my findings, and then deliver the protocol to my tutors. So there's a lot of pre-planning and a lot of post things you need to do. So I think that it accumulates. But I also heard from other people who are studying since a longer period of time that it gets better, that the first semester is the most packed simply because you need to have all the fundamental basics in check. So you need to do chemistry, physics, mathematics, and biology at the same time. And then after that, like with at the second semester and then third semester, you're already specializing, where it's a little bit then easier.
Yeah, I think when I was at university, because all I was doing was just the studying, it kind of, it fits your schedule. Like you haven't got anything else to plan around it. You're just you, and you just go to your lectures, you just come back. And the only other thing I was doing was maybe going out in the evening and going to the gym in the morning. That was basically the only things. So I just made sure I got my session in first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day was whatever lectures I had. But I can remember, I think it was probably more so third year, where I might have only had like one lecture on one day. So that'd be really annoying for you now if you had one lecture like at the end of the week.
Yeah, and I really try to avoid that, because now I have off on Tuesdays. And I could have easily had some kind of lecture there, but I didn't really want it, because I rather have a full packed day on one day, right? Be in that zone instead of chucking it up, especially now in my situation now where I have to commute. I simply just wanted to avoid to have a day where I only have one lecture. I have it on Wednesday where I'm in a lab setting every second week, and then the other week I'm having just a seminar, and that's basically it. But that's all right, because I'm then planning on going there on a Wednesday, staying from Wednesday to Friday in Potsdam, coming back again. And Monday is a separate day for itself, which is packed with lectures and stuff. But yeah, it is really exciting though, because this is something I was thinking about, because every once in a while I was just doing, also when we are doing our job, right, I wanted to learn at the side, and I wanted to read through, I don't know, some books, some more studies, some articles, and I never found the time. But maybe also because I was a little bit procrastinating on that front, because there was always something else I could do, right? And now I'm a little bit forced to actually learn. And I do like that idea that this is basically now a duty and a task I have to do because I'm accountable for, of course, just myself. It is studying after all. But if I'm not doing that, I won't get any further, right? So I'm actually forced to learn now. And what I'm learning is definitely carrying over to my coaching skills.
Yeah, it's something that I've thought in the kind of, there's a lot of time in the day, and if you really plan it out and you schedule, like sometimes I can be ultra busy in the day and I'm really satisfied with the amount I've got done. And I can see how, if you've got that something that you're accountable to and you're paying for your tuition and everything, that it makes you do it. So it's something I will consider in future, is at least I'd give myself a chance of actually being like, right, this is study time during my day, rather than being like, I don't know, almost procrastination of being on social media and performing that. Although that is still, for me at least, a big part of what I kind of, obviously to promote the brand and everything, it's part of the marketing and everything, which is, I think maybe sometimes I discount it, but then sometimes I also maybe overcount it in that I'm just like, I'll just do, if I've got some spare time, I'll just go on social media. And it's kind of like, that's maybe a cop out and I could do something more productive. I don't know.
Yeah, and especially, and I think that when you really think about it and when you're honest with yourself, every once in a while, not just every once in a while, but I think that it is quite common for many people, and it's happening on a frequent basis. You are scrolling through Instagram, or scrolling through Facebook, and you're doing a couple of times throughout the day, and you feel like you've been really productive because you answered some comments here and there, or you participated at a discussion. But was it sure, when you take a look at from a business perspective, that's what you have to do, especially with us and our clients. We have to actually give them feedback. But every once in a while, there are discussions to which you participate with. And was there any benefit of that? Did you get anything out of that? No, but you have the perception that you did. And most of the time, that is just a waste of time, actually, because you didn't really change the world. You didn't probably also not change the views of the other person you've had a discussion with, and you didn't do anything for you as well. And this is what I mean with the procrastination, that you always had the feeling that you've been doing something. You always had the feeling that you're busy throughout the day, but when you really break it down and really analyze what you have been doing throughout the day, it could potentially turn out that you just wasted a lot of time, which doesn't really get you any kind of further in life, or with your knowledge, or with your business, or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's having kind of, for myself, probably having stricter times. Like I go to Facebook and look for this half an hour and do as many answers this time, rather than flicking on now and then and spending half an hour now and then, and sometimes not doing anything but just looking over what people have posted. So interesting stuff. Anyway, I guess for my last 2 weeks, well, actually, I was going to say on your scale weight, sodium and kind of salt intake, I've really been noticing that difference since I increased my salt intake. So whenever I'm away, a lot of the time people think, oh, you have more sodium because you're eating out more, you're having prepackaged food. But I tend to actually have less because I basically salt everything now. So when I come back, like I had a really low weigh-in when I got back from the wedding weekend, because we barely had access to any salt when we were there. And then it came back up, which is just funny because, sodium, fiber, these sort of things, if you do end up changing them by a fairly significant degree, it's quite easy to double both of them, to be quite honest. It can really impact your weight by like a couple of pounds easily.
Mate, and it's so funny because over the past days, because I've been on the road so frequently and I didn't really eat that much of food, like volume wise, and didn't really have much fiber, I have to admit that, because on the road, when I did eat something, it was just more something like on the go, like these chicken snacks, or just a pack of quark, for example, right? Which is not a lot, but it secures that I'm getting insufficient amount of protein. But when I was on the road, and just to spare you the details, I didn't really have many bowel movements, right? And because of that, so today is my first day where I'm staying at home, And holy shit, what a
Floodgates.
blessing. What a blessing it was. What a blessing it was. And this felt uncomfortable over the past days. I was sorry for the details, but we are on a podcast where everyone can relate to that, I would assume, because of a high protein intake, fiber. Everyone has been in that situation. And I was farting the entire time. Like, of course, not in the lectures, but when I was by myself and on the train every once in a while. And it surprised me because I didn't really have much to eat. I didn't really eat much fiber, and I didn't really know where it comes from. But the body, I don't know, the changes in the body when you're traveling or on the road. Also, when I'm in London, I'm not going to the toilet like for 2 or 3 days, and I think that everyone can relate to that as well. And
that's what I started kind of highlighting, that I was recognizing that, because the same happens to me. And I was actually going to ask Gabrielle Fondero, for those who don't know her, she is kind of our gut health expert, at least for the podcast at the moment, and she's really expert in that area. And I was going to ask, like, can your environment impact your bowel movements? Because whenever I'm away from home, I barely pass. Like, and my diet, I reckon my diet could be exact same, but because I'm not, like, my body's like, oh, nah, mate, your toilet's not here, you can't go. It just doesn't. And it's even down to the fact that, like, consistently, if I had a coffee, I'd relatively soon afterwards then go to the bathroom. And if I'm out at a coffee shop, that never happens. Like, I just stay, like, nothing happens. It's just strange. So I completely relate to that.
It really is. And it's funny because when I'm visiting you, for example, it's not that my diet is changing that drastically. I'm still, I don't know, buying these veggies, buying the chicken, buying, I don't know, the
berries,
things I'm
normally
eating here as well. And the schedule isn't changing that drastically as well. But it's just like you said, right? My best friend, the toilet isn't around, so I can't really cheat on him. So I'm not going here.
It's so odd. It's just I think there probably is something to it. Just like your psychology, like, your mind says you cannot poop right now.
So, yeah, we are recording this episode, right? So we can actually ask our audience if there's someone who is specialized in that field. So,
or comment below if you've experienced what we've experienced. I want to know. So, yeah, I guess to comment on how my last 2 weeks have been, it's been really great, actually. This mini cut has been super duper smooth. I'm really, really happy with it, because I know last time although I cut it at 3 weeks because you want to be in and out of that kind of fat loss bank as soon as possible, I had to call it 3 weeks anyway, because I was just in the gym. Sessions were getting hard. I felt like if I'd pushed for another week, I probably would have seen performance drops, which you don't want to see really in a mini cut, because you're trying to hold that momentum from your massing, and you want to disrupt your kind of massing period as little as possible. So the fact that this time has been way smoother, it gives me a great hope that kind of I've held that momentum much better, and my transition out is going to be much, much smoother. Not that last time was bad, but this time, like food focus, hunger, lethargy, performance in the gym, it's all been really good. Like, just like a typical diet, to be honest, like at the start of any typical diet.
Nice.
And my only kind of, and I sent you a VM about this, Pascal, in that I think every time you kind of do a mini cut, you're going to be a little bit fatter, a bit probably less diet fatigued if you're holding on to any from previous times. You're going to be further along your settling point. You're going to be more resistant to dieting. And so you can almost be a little bit more assertive, take it maybe for longer. And so although each one kind of buys you less time, you can push each one that little bit harder. And that's what I'm kind of seeing at the moment. Like, the first one was 3 weeks. This one was 4 weeks. Maybe if I do another one, that could be 5 weeks. And like that, yeah, it just seems to be, it's just been really good. I can't kind of complain about anything. Even going to this wedding at the weekend, it was just fine. And the only thing I would say is it was interesting going to the wedding. I don't know if this is the same for all weddings, but most weddings have like quite decent food. At this one, it was just ludicrous. The food was just amazing. So there was like, the first thing was like snacks of, I don't know if you've ever had it, a cream tea. So it's like a scone with jam and what's it, not double cream, clotted cream. Fucking amazing. It's so...
Never heard of it.
When you have it, you'll be like, shit, Steve, you should not have given me that, because now I want that. Anyone who's had a proper cream tea, Cornish cream tea, it's amazing. So they had those. So I had like one of those because I was a bit peckish. I was like, I'll just have a little thing. And then dinner comes along, or they call it like wedding tea or breakfast, whatever it is. That was fine. That was pretty good. There was some veggies. It was barbecue, so there was like chicken I could have. There was sausages and burgers, easy to pass on those to try and keep it down. But then dessert came out, and it's like homemade brownies, and these are like huge triangles. What else was there? Pavlova, and I was like, I'll have a bit of pavlova because it's like it can be lower calorie if you just eat the what's it called? The white crunchy. Why can't I remember what it's called? Whatever that stuff's called. Someone's going to comment below and be like, it's fucking this. Meringue, that's the one, meringue. So meringue's just like sugar and egg whites. So it's really low fat, and you can have...
Isn't it something like BZ? I know it as BZ.
Oh, no, I've not heard of that.
Like, it is a hard, like, as if it's whipped cream or something. It looks like that, but it is basically hard, like... Huh?
Yes, it looks kind of like whipped cream, but it's rock solid.
Yeah.
So I had that. So I had a bite of the brownie and like a bit of the pavlova, but I was like, I could easily demolish a whole brownie right now. And no one else is giving a shit. They're all drinking alcohol, eating loads. So that happened. And then obviously there was wedding cake, and I love wedding cake. And this was, the person who made it is very good at making cakes. So there's like a salted caramel layer, lemon layer, and like a double chocolate layer, and I was just like, right, I have to try a bit of each. And there was Cornish pasties, which are like a Cornish thing. They're amazing, just like fried foods, basically, pastries.
So I'm dieting now since 7 weeks, and I lost 7 weeks. Yeah, I think it's 7 weeks now, and I lost quite a bunch of weight right now, right? So Katie, there's Lebkuchen season has started.
Oh yes, right? I cannot wait for Lebkuchen.
Made like last year, when if the people do remember, I love Lebkuchen. And the thing is that there are many different kinds of Lebkuchen. So you can get these. They are basically called Pfeffernüsse, right? These are the Lebkuchen, these white ones, like small kind of cake, kind of.
They're kind of like gingery biscuit.
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
They're not like ginger nuts. They're a bit more cakey than that.
Exactly. And then there are these chocolatey Lebkuchen, which are like a brownie, a little bit mushy and so high in flavor. And so I'm not the biggest fan of these white ones, the Pfeffernüsse. But Katie bought them, and I'm a little bit into dieting mode already, right? And she gave me just a piece of it, and I was just like, oh holy shit, that tastes so good.
Yeah.
So good. Fucking sake, eh?
I'd say the macros on them, for those who are listening who aren't completely sure, they're similar to like see people having saurine or malt loaf, that sort of thing. So they're great for like high carb, low fat, brilliant for that, but not for dieting because they do not satiate you one bit.
No, absolutely not. And they are actually quite high in calories if you are breaking that down. I mean, like I think 2 pieces have already something 100 calories or stuff like that.
Potentially something like that.
And I was just having a little bite, and I was just like, oh, God damn, I need to avoid that.
So in the wedding, it's just easy to overeat. It could be easy for me to have like 6,000 calories probably if I just went in on everything and drank alcohol. So I was actually impressed. I expected myself to maybe hit maintenance calories. I wasn't going to restrict myself. Like I was going to enjoy the wedding, so I didn't want to feel like I was being really food focused or low on energy. So I was like, if I want to eat a little bit more, I will. But I actually managed to pretty much continue my normal calorie intake, which in my head surprised me. Then when I think about me and what I'm like, it doesn't surprise me really.
In that situation, I'm always wondering whether it is our nature, just the type of people we are, or whether it is that we have been, I don't know, building a dieting skill. Because I think that dieting is a skill. Yeah. That's why we are not promoting something like a mini cut for the first cut you were ever doing or something like that, right? But the more often you're going through something like a gaining phase, a cutting phase, then a mini cut, a gaining phase, blah, blah, blah. You're building just a skill of, you know how your body is reacting, you know how to cope with certain situations or occasions. All these kind of things are just, it's just a learning process, right? And then I'm always wondering, in such a scenario, I find it so easy to stick to my diet. So easy. It's not even up for debate whether I'm actually going off board or not. It's not even a thought that is coming to my mind, right? And I'm just, I don't know, what's your take on that? Do you think it is a skill, or it is the type of person you are, or maybe even both of these kind of words?
I think it's a bit of both for myself. I think the fact that I find the reverse diet or the recovery diet process after a contest prep kind of speaks to my personality, in that I almost to probably my detriment, I couldn't let myself overgo what I'm meant to. Like it would stress me out more to overdo things and like just overconsume. It's like why, like on Christmas Day and stuff, I'm never going to be that person that's eating thousands upon thousands of calories, because I can't let myself do it. So I think that's just me, my personality. But then I think you're completely right. I think people develop the skill, the practice of these sort of things. They kind of know where they just have an idea of like calorie value, and then they can make decisions of like, okay, rather than having like 6 pints, I'm going to have a pint, and then the rest are going to be like vodka and Diet Coke or something. And they can just make those small changes that make a huge difference in terms of kind of calorie control and dietary balance. And then they can pick things like, okay, I'm going to pick the protein and have a high protein kind of at the barbecue, rather than having loads of the, I don't know what it might be, the potatoes and the kind of the additional sides, because they know protein is going to fill them up more. So yeah, I think there's a combination. But I definitely found it harder than the first wedding I went to back in kind of my prep, where I was like, I don't know, 8 weeks out or something. So I was really dieted by that point, very lean. But I didn't struggle at all, because I think my mind was so on like competitions. Like there was just, like you said, there was no question. Whereas this time I was like, Steve, it's just a mini cut. It's off season. You can go off plan if you want. And actually that almost made it harder because I was like, I want to stick to it, but I don't really need to. So I was a bit like, meh. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the whole weekend was actually incredibly enjoyable, and I didn't feel like the fact I was dieting really had any detriment to it. It just meant that when the guys had fish and chips, I had like eggs on toast. When people were eating cake, I had like a protein shake, things like that. I just made some adjustments to my own and didn't affect anyone else. And I didn't drink. I think I had 1 glass of champagne at the wedding, and that was just kind of because it's kind of custom and to be polite in that sense. But yeah, that's really how I guess the last 2 weeks went. And I'm going to probably be down from my peak mass 10 pounds. So last time I mini cut, I think I only lost like just over 5 pounds. So this one's been more efficient that way, like effective that way as well. So that's quite exciting. And then obviously I told you, Pascal, and some of the audience might know, I consulted with Mike Israetel, and he gave me just loads of insight on Revive Stronger, like our business and stuff, and just like my future in bodybuilding and where I should go next. And so the next phase for me is basically going to be another long-term mass, and I'm going to push up to probably 200 pounds, which is going to be incredibly exciting to weigh that much. I know you've weighed that much before. I can't even fathom weighing that much. But
I think it's the perfect time to do so, because first and foremost, you look great, and second of all, winter is coming.
Yeah, true.
And I would never again. But no, that is an extremist view. I would, in the near future, not want to weigh that much in the summertime again. Because it was so awful. I was sweating already at 25 degrees, and I can't even fathom how people like someone like Mike must feel when he's around in, I don't know, wasn't he in Singapore for a seminar? Like a 260-pound guy, right, bulking, in Singapore, where the humidity is already like 90 or 100 degrees, right? 100%. And that must be awful, right? And I'm already complaining with 25 degrees outside and only weighing like tops over 200 pounds. And I wouldn't recommend that to anyone.
Sleeping is the worst. In the day, you can kind of, I think, get through it. It's the sleeping at night. That's when I imagine it's fucking hard. He had to, when he came, actually, I think he always gets places with like aircon. And luckily in America, they have aircon. So I reckon that's how he gets away with it. Cool. So I guess we've kind of had a bit of an update about how we're doing. We can get to some of the questions.
Well, how long are we in already?
We are.
I have the feeling that we talked for such a long time.
We did talk for quite a while. We're 35 minutes in, so we definitely don't want to go over an hour because I think people get pissed off if it's over an hour, which I can understand because we're not that entertaining. But we have a lot of questions.
Oh,
I have no idea even where to begin with these.
Oh, that many questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Right, I'm just going to start from the top. And if people have asked questions before, I might have to jump past them just to give everyone a bit of a go. So let's have a look. This is from Custom Bodies, who I know is Tom Fern, who is, I used to train with him years ago at where I PT'd, my home gym. So I trained with him even before my accident and everything. So this is when I was in my 16, 17, I was training and he was training. He's
basically your own, your old buddy.
Old buddy, yeah. And he is jacked
Did he spot
as
you?
Fuck.
The bench press. It's all yours, mate. All yours.
So he has asked how to deal with online clients who continually forget to send their update. This is a good question. You go, Pascal.
Funny enough, Steve and I just recently recorded a presentation for the JPS Health and Fitness mentorship program. So if you want to have an in-depth answer to that one, sign up for the mentorship, Revive10 as a discount code. Sign up there, right? But just to give a quick answer to that one, what was the question again? So how to deal with people who aren't
not basically updating you on time and things like this.
So I have a clear policy when it comes to that, and I'm always emphasizing it from the start that I don't have many requirements to my clients. The only ones I have is that I want them to be open and honest with me, respect my time, and check in with me on time. And that is implying respecting my time as well. But as a matter of fact, when you really make that clear from the get-go, it usually is never happening. When it happens, then there's always a valid reason for it, because we both know that life is happening. You can't really prevent anything in life, right? Some things you can't really predict at all. They are just happening. And if that's the case, you can always then tell them, okay, you have your update time or check-in time with me. If you know you can't make it in advance, make sure to record it or send me an email before the check-in time, right? So that I at least have it ready earlier instead of too late. When people are missing their update, I make sure from the get-go to say that it's not my obligation then to give you an update for the week, because your priorities will come last then, because you missed your time and the other people have a booked or reserved time slot for them as well. And they are on time. They have the highest priority then. I will do their work first, do all the other duties and tasks I have to do first, and then I can give you an update. Right, so make that really, really clear to your clients that there are specific rules and guidelines they need to follow to make the entire thing happen and work. I'm always bringing up the analogy of a clockwork, right? Every single part in the clock has something to do or are supposed to do a particular thing, right? And if one of the parts isn't doing what they're supposed to do, the entire thing isn't working. And this is a coach-client relationship as well. If they aren't checking in with you on time, you can't do your job, and it's not your duty then to actually, I don't know, reschedule your calendar, your schedule for the week, just to make that one client kind of, I don't know, get on their track again, right? And if they are missing that check-in, for example, 3 times in the next couple of weeks, then I tell them, then I won't give you an update at all for that time when you are missing your update, even if you are giving it to me like, I don't know, a couple of hours later or something like that. Because once again, you need to have some rules and guidelines in check to make everything work. And if your work is suffering and all the other clients are affected by it, or your business is affected by it, you can't really take care of that one client, right? You still need to take care of your business first, so that you can deliver the quality service for all the other clients as well, because the good of your business is basically the most important thing, because otherwise you can't really deliver it to any of your other clients, right? I don't know. Sorry for the long-winded answer there.
That was long, but I think it gave the point really, really well. And all I'd say to Tom is this is something we definitely dealt with, probably clear from Pascal's response there. And I think the biggest tip that we can give you is have clear expectations from the outset, because not only will that help them get the most out of coaching, but it will help you be able to serve your clients best. And once you have that in check, you're all good. So
why couldn't I answer it that way?
I think your in-depth answer was good though, because if there's any clients listening, not necessarily our clients, anyone's clients, they'll understand why it's important for them as well. So Brandon, my client, asked, what are our pet peeves when dealing with clients? And I can start on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
And my pet peeve is probably when a client will reach out to me kind of maybe across, and I don't make this, I want to say it in a way because I am not the type of person that gets really annoyed, so it's not like I get really upset by this, but probably when they try and contact me across multiple platforms to answer their question or message. So if they've emailed me and then they see me on kind of Facebook and they then write me a message on there saying the same question, or have you seen my email, or like over on Instagram, and that's absolutely fair play if they've emailed like and it's been a few days or a day even, but if it's the same day, even within like hours, that's when it's like I'm just like, oh come on, because that is it kind of like Pascal said, it's kind of not respecting our time, because we aren't, even though we are your online coach and we are able to reply to emails within 24 hours, that's 24 hours. So I'm not there to hold your hand every single step of the way. The only people that I give that sort of access to would be a contest prep client, in which there might be something that they really need help with in that immediate time potentially. But for anyone else, and even a contest prep client, it's unlikely that they need it that much, unless it was like peak week or something like that. So yeah, that's my pet peeve.
No, same one. I mean, not respecting my time, I find highly disrespectful. And also when it then comes to something like reaching out to me, it's the same principles such as a WhatsApp, right? So you have these checkboxes or ticks behind your messages, right? When they are being sent, when someone has read them, then it's blue, right? And when you take a look at a message, sometimes you simply don't have the time to respond immediately. And when then someone is pestering you all the time, doesn't make the work process any kind of quicker. And it doesn't really make your answer get quicker back to them, right? And also just another quick one is not trusting us or me when I'm making some kind of adjustments or something, and I give my reasoning for it, and everything is being doubted. I think that healthy skepticism is a good thing, but skepticism is not the same as doubt, right? And especially when it's doubt that is coming from not trusting what the coach is doing, because I think that the coach-client relationship is a personal relationship, and when you are on a personal level, trust is really important, I think. And you have decided to work with that coach, and the coach has probably also then decided to work with you. But if one or the other party isn't trusting each other, there's a huge lack in the relationship as well, right? And this is a pet peeve of mine, that when you're saying something, that it's always being questioned, but in a doubtful kind of way. Like, I don't know, I've read at that expert that this is the better way to do things. All right, then why aren't you going to that expert and being coached by him or something, all right? Only because we are not in the industry since such a long time, or offering the coaching service since such a long time as other, for example, are doing, that doesn't mean that we aren't really credible, we don't have the experience or anything like that, right? And that just, I don't know, maybe you have something more to add on that from.
Yeah, I guess just to clarify for the listeners, because I know what you're saying there, it's kind of doubting or not trusting after you've explained comprehensively why you've decided to do something a certain way. Because if that is the case, it's kind of like, then you're not the coach for them if they're not going to take it, because that's like, I don't know, it's like your teacher telling you this is the way to do things, and then you're like, no, I'm more right than you. It's like, well, you're never going to learn from that teacher because you don't think that they're smart enough, or you don't think that they're correct, or something along those lines. Hopefully that makes sense, because we're definitely not saying questions aren't wanted, or they are wanted. Actually, it helps us because then we can actually explain things. So good answer.
Again, I think that skepticism is a good thing, right? And this is where our question should stem from. But when it's always like coming from a doubtful place, where it's just like, I'm not fully trusting you and your knowledge and your integrity and credibility is being doubted as well in that regard. This is just something where I'm just like, okay, why did you come to us in the first place then?
Cool. So next question is from TK Davies 679, who you probably know, Jeff Albert's client, who did really well in his novice shows. I think he only did novice shows, didn't he? And I think he's probably competing against Stu this weekend, is he not? At the UK FBA. So he's a shredded fuck. So he's going to do well.
So the BMBF and the UKDFBA qualifiers, he both won, and
it goes to show how crazy the standard at the BMBF final was, because I don't think he placed in the top 5 there, did he? Which is nuts, really. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that he's like not good because he didn't place there. It's just the quality was insane. So anyway, to go on with his question, and this is actually to both of us. So what would you have done differently with the post-show period of your contest prep? And I'm saying it's to both of us because obviously you basically had a pretty rough post-show period, to be honest. So I think it would be great to hear your answer as well on that, Pascal. But if I just start with myself, if that's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to keep it pretty
you go brief
this time around, because I mean we've discussed it a couple of times pretty comprehensively, and this is basically, I would have taken things a little bit more easier on myself, not really just switching everything around at the get-go and trying to expect that my body is reacting just fine with that, and slowly more so reversing out of it, like not changing all the habits at once, not training like insane amounts, because I was training twice daily then for 10 weeks, right? And I just set myself up to fail, basically. And this is something I would avoid. I would slowly more so transition out of that.
Cool. No, yeah, good answer. And I think for myself, I don't think there's a lot I would change, because I actually think my off season has been a really, really productive one. But I think Pascal would agree with me, I probably stayed a little bit too conservative during that first period, and I could have actually probably doubled the rate of gain that I was gaining at and got to a healthier body fat percentage where I truly felt good. Because I think, although I was already kind of in a reverse diet up to that point, which made it a lot easier, that transition, I just kept slowly gaining. So I was gaining maybe a couple of pounds a month, whereas I think kind of more like 4 pounds a month in that first transitional period, getting up to like the mid 170s rather than getting to the low, like to 170 and then maintaining. I think I should have got a bit higher, allowed myself to get a bit fatter, so I felt better and performed better sooner, because that for me is the key to a recovery period after prep, is making sure you get to that point where you feel recovered, where you feel productive and you can perform well. That's then where you can kind of maybe hold and kind of relax a bit and then enter your off season, I think it's a bad idea to try and hold too lean a physique for too long after that period of time, which is kind of the traditional reverse diet, which isn't what I did, but maybe a little bit too conservative for myself.
So I have a question for you then, following this one. Do you kind of regret having done then a mini cut in between, or is it more so just the slow approach that you would have liked? Okay, I would have liked to gain a little bit quicker, still do the mini cut then, or is it more so a combination of both where you're saying, okay, because I do remember that you didn't really feel that great, and now looking back in hindsight and comparing these two mini cuts with each other, you say yourself that it might be, or it was a little bit premature maybe?
I think I would have continued to do the mini cut, but have been a bit fatter at that point. I think that's what I would have done, because actually having looked, and I talk about how that mini cut was quite tough, tougher than I probably would have hoped it to be. I still think it actually really helped in some ways. I still think the actual gaining period after that mini cut, I think, was the best of my off season, especially when I compare my photos from this mini cut to that one. So I think if I was just a bit fatter, it would have been a bit easier and probably would have even been a bit better. I think that's the only change I would have made. So this is going to be a good question. So it's from Chrissy. And he has asked a question which kind of relates to something me and Pascal were talking to off air. So I think this would be good. He said, would you tell a client straight up that he/she is not ready for stage, even during a running prep? So I can start if you want.
Yeah, because
I can see you thinking.
I really need to think about it, because I see a point in doing both.
So I think
to not tell them, because it really depends on how far they are away from stage, whether you can actually intervene and do something against it, or if it would be just a fuck up mentally and would discourage them and
100%.
actually make them look worse.
So I think, like you're alluding to there, actually depends on the situation, but also on the client. So there's some clients I know, like for example, Dan Smith, who recently competed this season. When he did his first show, I up front told him that he isn't ready for stage, like in his best condition. It's not going to do as well as what he will do if he did a later show or continue to diet. And we both accepted that. And I know Dan would take down his shoulders, and he'd know it would just take his experience, and that would actually drive him better and to get more fat off, and it wouldn't stress him. It would actually help the process. Whereas I know there's clients where if I told them we're a bit behind schedule, maybe they've got a show in maybe even like 6 months to the line or like 4 months down the line. If I told them where we're behind, it could potentially stress them out and actually cause things to be worse. They doubt themselves, they doubt the process. They'd actually expect results to come slower because they then know they're behind, and they'd want them to come quicker. So in those scenarios where, okay, if it's a case of they're not on schedule, but they could still be ready, then I don't know if I would always tell them. If it was someone like Dan, who I know would take it on their shoulders, I'll tell them, because I know that will force them to push harder. But yeah, in my feelings, it definitely depends on the person. But if we've got a show like Chrissy's saying, if it's in 2 weeks and I think they're in a position where they aren't going to look how they want to look on stage, I'll tell them, because I just don't want them to have unrealistic expectations on stage.
Yeah, so I was listening to a certain episode from the Sigma Nutrition podcast with Danny Lennon. I don't really remember the name of the guy he interviewed, but he worked with Examine, was one of the guys who founded Examine.com, and they were talking about the placebo effect, right? And they talked about the placebo in conjunction with coaching. And he was asked whether he would make use of a placebo effect to get a certain outcome or certain goals with his clients. And he basically said no, because he has I don't know, it is more so a moral question, an ethical question, because you are consciously lying to the client, so to speak, to get a certain effect. And I'm always like hesitant to make a decision on that front, because I can see a point in making use of the placebo effect, because it can be such a powerful effect, right? But also on the other end, I'm always open and honest, and I don't want to disrupt the trust we've built. So I'm always then rather saying the truth instead of being, dishonest with them, and say maybe something, I don't know, you can play with your words instead of being like super upfront.
I'm with you.
Maybe try to wrap it like a small gift or something, right? Make it really
like
look appealing or something.
It's almost like a white lie in some ways. It's not like a true hard-lined lie. You're saying it in a way to help them, but still get them to understand that you're telling them the truth.
Because I have a real big problem with being dishonest when there's someone who's coming to you who wants your help, and if you're not being super upfront with them. But also, once again, you can make use of the insane effect of a placebo, which it can have for certain people, right? But yeah, don't just take advantage of it always, and don't just lie to your clients in that regard. I don't know. It's just an interesting thought and concept when it comes to the effects of a placebo and what it can actually have.
Yeah, I think I'm completely in the same line of thought of you, because I can't lie to my clients. I always tell them I'm always utterly honest with them. So if a client's asking me many kind of months out from a show or something, and they're saying like, Steve, like, how are we doing, blah blah blah, I might be completely honest and be like, we're behind schedule, but I'm not worried, because I think we can do this, and if you're kind of on point, we can still be fine, because I think when you do start, and I can see the allure of trying to use like a placebo and being like, yeah, you're ready, like things are going amazing, and then they kind of, that hopefully gets them there. It's a risk, because as soon as you start doing that, and I know I've had it with clients who have come to me from other coaches who have told them that they're going to be like in this amazing condition by the end of their cut and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I have to have a consultation with them and be like, sorry, I'm not promising you any of that. I'm being very realistic. We need to kind of reduce a load of diet fatigue, take a maintenance phase before you can even think about getting to kind of like under 10% body fat if you've started above 20%. Like, you're not going to do that in a linear fashion, and I don't care if these other coaches have promised it, because that's not how I'm going to do things. So I really respect the fact that you've said that, Pascal, because I'm exactly the same way. Like, honesty is, like they say, is always the best policy. Like, I can't see a way it's not.
Totally. And just to end it here, do you really think that lying to your client or being deceitful will get you to your goals? Probably, maybe short term, but when it comes out like that you lied, right? A lie is so much more painful than the truth. The truth hurts maybe like a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of days, but a lie can last forever.
I like that. I've never even thought of that before, but I like that a lot.
Neither did I.
Nice.
It just came to my mind, and I really do like that. It's phrase, good, actually.
So we've actually come to 58 minutes basically now, so we should probably call it there. Thank you guys though for all your questions, because I love seeing there's so many questions and they're really thought out and everything. So hopefully you guys get a lot of value from this. I don't think we've got anything else particularly to say, so we'll catch you in a week.
Cheerio.
Cheers, guys.